Yeah, hi. My name's Arthur Baker. We're at Mute Studios on Harrow Road, and we actually, Tim and I actually came in here and recorded Glow here, the sort of last version of Glow. We had originally recorded it 5 years earlier using Acid software, and I had done it all on my laptop. And when we decided to, when Underwater decided to put out the record, we decided to come back in and do sort of a remix of it, Tim and I. And we came into the studio with Rick from Ash, who plays drums. And we came in and did drums and guitars here on the AMAC board and put it into Pro Tools, transferred it to Logic so I could cut it up because I usually work in Logic 7. Mute Studios, I had been here in the past one other time. It's very convenient to my house. I live in the neighborhood, so to me, when I look for a studio nowadays, it's sort of either Pro Tools or Logic, one or the other. And what I look for first in a studio is sort of not really comfort per se. It's more staff and just location, really. I mean, it may sound crazy, but a lot of times I'm doing things bringing my own equipment in, so I don't really think about what the room's like. I mean, basically, in a way, you can make any equipment sound good and any room sound good, and especially if you're taking things out and you're using Pro Tools or Logic, it's not really difficult. I mean, the live room here isn't a great live room. It's sufficient to set up a drum kit and mic it up and get a drum sound. You're going to add samples to it, and it's not really difficult to get a good guitar sound using, Tim brought his own amps. So basically, we came in here, got a sound, ended up mixing it in Logic, which I'm very at home with. On this Pink Grease project, we've used Pro Tools, which I think probably for a live band situation is probably better. But usually when I'm doing dance music, I'm much more at home with Logic, the plugins, and I'm just able to use it very quickly. Mute Studios has great synthesizers. I mean, I use a lot of soft synths when I'm working but on Glow, we actually use the Moog that's here, and I did lots of different riffs when we were just sort of listening back, put them all into Logic, chopped them up, and at the end of the 12-inch of Glow, there's a whole synth section which is just out of the Moog here. With Pink Grease, we're using lots of synthesizers, lots of Moog. We have my old Oberheim 8. We use DMX. So I mean, nowadays young bands really like using the old synthesizers, and it's funny, I'd be more apt to want to use the soft synths because it's just easier, but the guys in Pink Grease really want to use the actual synthesizers, which, I think you do get a bit of a different sound. Nick in Pink Grease actually makes his own synthesizers, which are really, he's made some amazing synths. They're sort of known, one of the things they're known for is Nick's synthesized building, and he also built his own plate reverbs, and we've used that. So it's sort of, the Pink Grease album's been really interesting because it's going back into actually working with a band, but a band that's sort of really interested in the 80s technology. On the Glow record, it was more cut like a rock and roll record. Tim, like I said, bashed out the chords, and Rick played drums, and then I just cut it up and played some synths on top, and it was a pretty quick process. I had a friend of mine, Johnny Turnbull, who was a very good engineer. He did the mixing at his house, and we just threw a G5 and just the whole Mac setup. But that went pretty smoothly, and yeah, that's about it. Hope you like Glow. It's sort of funny that I'm known as sort of for technology, doing Planet Rock and using synthesizers and drum machines early on, but I'm really not very adept at technology in the studio. I mean, I've owned my own studio, but if you ask me about certain things, I couldn't really tell you. Which goes to my Space Echo. This is one of my few pieces of gear I've kept over the years because you don't need to be a scientist to know how it works. It's a piece of tape going around and around, and basically it makes amazing sounds, amazing dub stuff. This is like the sound of reggae right here, and the sound of you know, Led Zeppelin delays and stuff. It's sort of, this is my favorite delay unit. As far as microphones that I use in the studio, I used to have a pretty mega collection of, you know, very expensive microphones, which half of them got stolen, the other half were broke and I've lost along the way. But to me, a Shure 57, when I've worked with Hall & Oates, and I know Bono, and with Tim and with Rory with Pink Grease, using a 57 sitting, or Barney from New Order, 57 in the hand, singing on the couch where you're sitting. A lot of vocals get done that way. People think that, you know, you're going to use, you know, very expensive microphones, but a lot of producing is capturing a vibe, and a lot of the time the vibe is holding the microphone or having a mic stand in the studio with the speakers really blaring loud and singing in front, you know, for the audience, which is the rest of the band. So I mean, a lot of the stuff I've done has been with 57s, and a lot of the stuff I've done has had the Space Echo as my delay unit.